We are really, really good at what we do. And I keep saying it, we are so important to the UK's growth. Automotive keeps getting forgotten, and it shouldn't be, because moving forward over the next 10 years, we are absolutely key to making Great Britain better.
Hello and welcome to the Armchair Show. I'm your moderator, Tanisha, and I'm so thrilled to have you guys here today. Today I am joined by 3 fantastic guests, and I guess we'll kick off with a quick introduction about who we are and what we do. So if we start with yourself.
I'm Simon Bottomley. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at the Vindis Group, but I have some interest as non-exec director of some tech businesses, some SaaS businesses that are work in automotive, which is interesting, and it just proves that maybe an old dog can learn some new tricks.
And it sounds incredibly busy.
It is busy, but it's worthwhile. And I mean, it's a tough industry, isn't it? But the more that we learn about different things, and the more that we kind of challenge ourselves. So yeah, it's an interesting time.
Amazing.
I'm Amy Bellamy, and I'm the marketing manager at Vospers, which is based in the southwest of the country. I'm quite new into the motor industry. I've only been with the company about 8 months, but loving the motor industry, and it's really opened my eyes to what a fantastic industry it is.
Amazing. Karen?
Oh, hi, I'm Karen Hurlstone, and I'm the Business Development Manager for MTC. We are a bespoke web design business based in Dundee. I'm home office based, by the way, in Cheshire. And we specialise in automotive web design, marketing, and actually just doing things a little bit different, and planning on being a main disruptor next year in the automotive web design industry.
Exciting. So, very scarily, we're coming towards the end of 2024. I don't know where this year has gone. I've blinked and it's disappeared. So we're all already planning and thinking about 2025 and what that brings for the industry. So I thought it'd be a very good opportunity looking into next year to start kind of future thinking and kind of discuss that in today's episode. So going into next year, where do you think dealers should focus? What are you guys planning for? What are you preparing for? What do you think next year is going to be really key that we prepare for?
I think that if anybody thinks that the landscape is going to be easier next year than it has been this year, then they're in for a surprise, I think it's going to continue to be very, very tough. The reason for that, I think, is twofold. You're going to have upward pressure on costs, regardless of what the macroeconomic position will be in terms of inflation. There will be particular inflation on costs in this industry, and that's largely driven by the fact that we probably can't find enough good people, technicians, what have you. So there's an upward pressure on cost all of the time. I guess you'll find this in your business, where technicians are increasingly wanting pay rises because there's that sort of intergroup competition for the services. So we're going to have an increase in costs across the piece. Customers are increasingly sophisticated. They understand more and more about what they're buying. They ask those questions that can be difficult for us retailers to answer at times. So you're going to have upward pressure on costs. There's no doubt about that. The problem is we're also going to have, at the same time, a reduction, I think, in demand. And I think that, gone are the days where we could, post-COVID, basically wait for customers to come to us. So there's going to be a decrease in demand, and that, again, could well be around consumer confidence. But unfortunately, it's also down to the fact that a lot of the stock that is available, the electrification of the industry, if you like, means that there's little or there's too few products around that people actually really want to buy. So there's going to be a reduction in demand and availability of stock, and that will mean that whether the agency model becomes a thing in the industry or not, there's going to be downward pressure from the manufacturers in terms of margin. Because even if urgency doesn't come to pass broadly across the industry, manufacturers will still have to pay for the cost of electrification. And the only way that they will really do that is by putting downward pressure on our margins. So you're going to have upward pressure on cost, downward pressure on margins. So this squeezed middle that we face as a retailer is going to become even more squeezed. And I'm not suggesting that the industry is facing necessarily an existential crisis, but it's going to become really difficult, even more difficult than it is now. And for me, and I guess I would say this as an advisor to some tech companies, the only way that you can actually defend those positions as a retailer is by becoming more operationally efficient. There's no magic portion, there's no silver bullet in this industry. There isn't. There's going to be no revolutionary way of retailing.
Well, that's exactly what we don't want to hear. We're all looking for the magic potion, secret bullet.
I'd be a multi-millionaire if there was. And for me, in the last 25 or 30 years, the actual retail model hasn't changed that much. I actually don't think it ever will do. What it means as a retailer, you've just got to be better at what you do on a daily basis. And for me, the enabler of that increased efficiency is technology. It's not going to revolutionise the sales process, but it's going to make it better. So that's my view, for what it's worth.
Amy, what about yourself? What are you kind of planning and preparing for in 2025?
Well, as Vospers, we are a long-standing family-run business, and we cling on to that because that feels quite special within this industry. And we have some core values that we really stick to and feel really confident that we deliver a great service to our customers. So I think holding on to those traditional values in a world that is evolving so fast and in an industry that is, changing and embracing these changes as the world is evolving, we need to make sure that we maintain those traditional values. So what we're coming into the industry is, quite a new, fresh pair of eyes on the industry. I feel that tradition can also mean that the traditional marketing methods are maintained, which absolutely work to an extent. But we also need to embrace new ideas and new platforms as to our marketing delivery. So we're trying new things. And I think my plan moving forward is to just keep testing the water and seeing what will work, to encourage that footfall into the dealership and encourage people to come and still want to have that face-to-face sales experience and enjoy the experience and the excitement that comes with buying a new vehicle.
Which will be one of the huge benefits you bring because you've only been in the industry for a short space of time. So you have all of that additional experience and different expertise to kind of bring into Vospers with you.
Yes. And also there's an awful lot of jargon that goes on in this industry as well, which I'm picking up really, really quick. But also coming in and understanding, does the customer really know what we mean by delivery mileage? What are the customers really wanting? Because if I were looking for a new vehicle 8 months ago, before I came into the industry, would I really know that? Would I care? What would I be interested in? And
that is your superpower right now, because everyone else is so blind to it. That keep that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's what I'm clinging on to, and hopefully I can bring that into our organisation over the next 12 months at least.
Amazing. Karen, how do dealers prepare for next year?
Well, we're talking to a lot of dealers, and my role at MTC, I'm now in my second month, but being Karen, I've obviously already started opening doors and chatting to people. And it's very much not a hard sell business. We are a bespoke business, and MTC is a much bigger business. They've been going for 25 years. So they also specialise in web design within the government area, retail, and the pharmacy. So, for example, they built the Brewdog website and managed that. So they know what they're doing. So automotive, although for the last 10 years they've done really well, it's not an area they focused on until now. So me coming into the business with my automotive background, we're talking to dealers now openly. And what I've said to the management team is, look, let's just go out and start having conversations. We're not hiding anything. We are after, the franchise sector, we're after the very large supermarkets, and we're after the very large prestige dealerships, because that's where they are, at their very best. And chatting to them now and opening doors, we're talking about, look, when you come up for tender, we'd love to come and have a conversation with you now to show you what we do, but then come back to us when you're ready. We're not going to push you. We're not going to keep getting 25 million emails, etc. And that's working really well. I mean, Sandown Group just went live a couple of weeks ago. I wasn't part of that. It was before I joined the business. But what we're hearing is, similar to what Simon was saying, is the tech, which is they're a tech-led business, is what is actually helping and is making a difference, because we're listening to what the businesses are saying. It's very much a consultancy approach to come in and go, right, what does success look like to you, Simon? Because that's what we need to achieve for you to actually enable the business to work smarter, to work better, to work cleaner, and to work fairly for the consumer. And we have the technology to do that with our product called Autonomy, which is the back-end system similar to what you're saying. But what we also do is open it up to say, well, look, Simon, we know you love working with that marketing company. You like that part. We already have the APIs in place. So we're not precious if you don't want to do the marketing with us. We'll work with your marketing company and make sure all of that is bought in and keeping those family values. One of the things that always impressed me about Vospers when I managed the account was when you go into the Vospers lobby, you've got the Vospers promise on the wall. And it's got all of their, everything that they talk about the family and about what they want to achieve is there. So the consumer sees that as soon as they come into the showrooms. And that's the bit you keep. But what you also need is what you're talking about and what Simon was saying is, right, but what's next? What do we need to do? And one of the things we do really well is bring that marketing spend and that revenue spend back in-house, because you can just keep paying out money. And what we're hearing is, what can we do to just be that little bit more slicker? And that's what we're hearing, and that's what's working.
So the common theme that I see amongst all three of you is tech and trying new things. So that's kind of what 2025 looks like. So what tech should dealers be looking at? What should we be keeping an eye on? How are things changing? I hear lots in this industry, AI in every other conversation that I have at the moment. But what AI, yes, but also is there anything additional that as dealers that we should be looking at?
I think the first thing you've got to realise is that tech in and of itself is not the solution. You've got bad processes, you've got the wrong people. Tech won't solve it. Tech is only an enabler. What tech should do is make a good business better. Tech is only a route to making your operations more efficient. So for me, and I accept what Amy's saying, she's absolutely right about the fact that we need to try new things. But I don't think ever we would see, I haven't seen any revolution in this industry over the last 30 years that I've been in it. I've seen things done better. So for me, the tech that you need to look at is something that adds value to the processes that you've already got. Just spending millions of pounds on a new operating platform won't make a bad business better. But if you can take parts of your business, and Karen was saying this in terms of the web stuff that you're doing and the marketing platforms that you're working with, you can take an element of that business and make it more efficient. That's when value's added. If you would indulge me, if I could just give you a particular example.
Please do.
So I'm the chair of a business called Judecar, which was a startup that I invested in early days. We've raised quite a lot of money through VCs, and we've now starting to get a pretty decent blue chip client base. And what we've done is solve the problem in the automotive industry, which is about stock moving from one site to another. There are thousands and thousands of vehicle movements from site to site. What this does, it makes it quicker, it makes it more efficient, it reduces your stock holding, and therefore makes you more profit. So it's that kind of technology, and again, another business that I'm working with which is a Swedish business called Carker, that tracks the vehicles through the workshop, makes sure that there's visibility of how that car is doing in prep. So if you can take each constituent part of your business, apply technology to make it more efficient, that's what will add value, not technology for technology's sake.
Anything additional to add to that? Any specific tech that you're thinking that dealers should really look out?
Well, we do use AI. A great example, and I'll use Sundown again with their Mercedes-Benz. You've got somebody in marketing sitting there writing each one or taking content, etc. We have an AI part of the business which basically rewrites it for you. And the amount of time it's saved the marketing department is absolutely incredible. I mean, we're going to start sending out stats, etc., to people as well to prove it. And you can sense check it because sometimes it'll say a word that absolutely makes no sense to anybody. But the actual descriptions, if you go onto the Sundown website now and look at how the Mercedes-Benz are displayed from a consumer-led point of view, it's all of a sudden it's like, that sounds great. And it's actually the same words, but it's been cleverly, utilised and used the AI within our actual websites and within our business. So, and as I was saying about the autonomy portal, bringing back to what Simon was saying, that's exactly the type of partner that we want to partner with, to say, look, we've got, you buy a website from us, we've also got a partner that can provide this part. We've got an API that will drive straight to that. That's where tech works, where you bring in really great partnerships and really great APIs to say, how can we help you make your business, faster, quicker, better, smarter? We can't do it all, but actually we know a business that can. We've got an API straight there. We'll provide you the information. Go and speak to them. You want to add that, that's absolutely fine. And that's where tech works.
Anything particular when you say trying new things that you've got your eye on going into the new year?
Well, with customers, I think now people, they know what they want. Expectations of customers are so much higher. And when they come in, if they have this slight sniff of a poor experience, they're very quick to shout about it. And we need to be one step ahead when it comes to that, and setting the scene for what they can expect to come into the dealership before they come in. They do their own research. Often they know which vehicle they want or have an idea for which franchise they're looking to go to. So showing people what we have and getting those values across it's mainly on social media, and growing those platforms as much as we can. That's really key for our business.
I would agree with that, and you have to be careful how you do it. I mean, a great example of somebody who does it really well is Robin Luscombe's of Leeds. Now, I've known Robin. He was actually probably one of my very first customers when I worked at Glasses Guide about 150 years ago. But Robin does it really well. Customer service is absolutely everything. He helps you buy a car, and that's his slogan, and it works really well. But you see it when you come into that dealership. You see it when you're online with them. You see it with their customer service. You see it with their after sales. You see it when you take your car in for a service. Every part of the business is about enabling that consumer to feel safe, to feel right. If there's a problem, I mean, Robin, okay, it's a smaller dealer group, etc. But in those days, he'd pick the phone up. You could call him. The same with Sam, his son, who's sort of running the ship now. But you're exactly right, because as soon as you have one bad experience, there's somebody that's going to put it all over social media. Then it starts escalating. Then somebody else says, "Oh yeah, I had a similar thing," and actually, they weren't talking about Vospers. They were talking about another company that sounded similar but wasn't the same company. And then again, you get this escalation of, oh, was it or wasn't it? I'm not sure. Oh, that was my brother's mate. He bought a car from there. So you're absolutely right. But you want to see somebody doing it properly. Have a look at Robin Luscombe. He did it.
We get that all the time. So there's another company who has a very similar name to us and does a very, very different service. And I get that a lot. I once had somebody very rudely tell me that I'd done a terrible job. And I had to keep saying to him, I don't think we've ever worked together before. You've never been a customer of this business. And eventually, 15 minutes in, established that he had never worked with us, and it was the other business that he was referring to.
I think the point that you're making about customer satisfaction is a little bit of a bugbear for me, because I think that, you know, in all of the businesses that I've worked in, we've strived to have customer satisfaction as you know, the central plank of what we do for the obvious reasons.
Yeah.
There's obvious commercial benefits for doing that, but I think as an industry, I actually think as an industry we think we're worse at customer service than we actually are.
I agree.
Right, and that often is driven by some of the expectations of manufacturers. I mean, let's be honest about it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you don't score, and I'm riffing for effect here, if you don't score 9.9 out of 10 every time, you're no good. Right, I've done some extensive studies on net promoter scores in previous organisations that I've worked with, large dealer groups that you both know I work for. And here was the rankings, right? John Lewis, lower net promoter score than we did.
Yeah.
Google, lower net promoter score.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. NatWest Bank, lower net promoter score. My dealer group, higher than all of them. So I think actually,
Yeah.
what we have a tendency to do here is focus on that one or two, you know, there are customer interactions. If you've got £1 billion pound a year turnover business or £100 million a year turnover business, it doesn't really matter. The amount of customer interactions you have as a dealer group are huge. I'm not talking 3 or 4, I'm talking 300 or 400,000 interactions in a large dealer group. Service, there will be 3 or 4 contact points. Sales, there will be multiple contact points. Finance, Karen, absolutely right. Marketing, regional marketing. You get one of those wrong. So actually, whilst we have to acknowledge that customer satisfaction has got to be front and centre of our focus, I just wish as an industry we'd actually realise we're probably not as bad as we're made out to be.
Very true.
I agree. It's what I said earlier. You know, I truly do believe that the UK automotive market is the best in the world. I really, really do. We are absolutely excellent at what we do. And we don't shout about it enough. We talk about the doom and gloom all the time. And it drives me crazy, you know. So, you know, I don't mind what people think or don't think about my LinkedIn posts, but they're always positive. They're always about how we do things really well. It's always about celebrating what we do, or celebrating the people. And it's great to see. And I'm not just on about awards, etc. I love it when I see one of your groups, if you've got a new franchise, or you've bought, you know, 2 more new sites, you know, shout about that, because you don't know how many people will share that data to then say, well, actually, we've taken over, you know, Fords of Accrington or whatever, and actually, well, that's great news, because we can now look at capturing, you know, the local sales, which is a Vospers special, you know, sunny Cornwall, far sunnier than where I live, I promise you. And celebrating that, and we don't do it enough, and we are really, really good at what we do. And I keep saying it, we are so important to the UK's growth. Automotive keeps getting forgotten, and it shouldn't be, because moving forward over the next 10 years, we are absolutely key to making Great Britain better.
I think that's a really nice note for this episode, actually.
Definitely.
That 2025 is about actually continuing doing what we're already doing very, very well at. Because the industry is fantastic. We are very good at customer service. And all we really need to do is keep doing what we're already doing fantastic at.
Armchair Marketing Podcast.